Hey everyone, it's Friday, so that means it's time for another Q&A. This week there's no Anthem questions asked, so we've got Mass Effect questions, a follow-up to last week's controversial question, and a couple of personal questions as well. If you're interested in a chance for your question to appear on next week's episode, the rules are simple. Just title your comment Q&A and ask either a question about Mass Effect, Anthem, or a personal question for me. With that said, there's timestamps below for categories and questions, so let's get started with our first one. Our first question involves Mass Effect and is from Super Critic Man, who asks Q&A. Do you think that the future Mass Effect games will have graphics and facial animation like 343 Industries, aka the new Halo series? I'm guessing with this question, that Super Critic Man is asking if the next Mass Effect will look different in terms of art style and character design, compared to how it looks now. For anyone who doesn't know the 343 Industries reference, this happened with Halo when 343 Industries took over the franchise. When 343 took over the franchise, they committed a big gaming sin. In the sense that when taking over a Titan IP such as Halo, you're supposed to honor the source material and stay true to what makes the games great. 343 Industries did the exact opposite of this, by basically trying to make their Halo games be something entirely new by redesigning every aspect of the games, from the art style to the sound design and even to the gameplay. This angered many fans, including myself. After many years of us on forums complaining and making our voices heard on their website, they are finally beginning to make Halo look and feel like Halo again. But it took more than 4 years for this change to happen. Here's hoping Halo 6 will be their best game yet, and feel like a Halo game at launch. Now if this was to happen to the next Mass Effect installment, I think we the fans would be up in arms about it. Mass Effect has a very distinct and beautiful art style. If they change anything on the same level as 343, then Bioware will have effectively ended all trust and respect from fans. I really don't think they will do this though, as right now I think their main goal is to gain back the millions of fans they lost with the way Andromeda was handled. Okay, so next we have Nick D, who says, cannot wait for the Destiny 2 review, and question for the Q&A. If they decided to cut off Mass Effect Andromeda 2 for good, what do you think the next Mass Effect would be about / like? First off, I'm glad you're looking forward to my review on Destiny 2. I finally got all my thoughts down and finalized my opinions on the game. I have all the footage recorded, so now I just need to finalize my script and begin production this weekend. Now the review will probably end up being a pretty long video, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Now to answer the Mass Effect question you had, of course Bioware Montreal has done with the Mass Effect franchise, but Bioware has not said anything about the future games other than saying it will come back in a big way, and in a fresh and exciting place. I think the next game will be similar to Andromeda's idea of exploring a new galaxy with new species and gameplay elements. I hope they're able to try their idea again of starting fresh, but fingers crossed that this time they prioritize story and writing over graphics and gameplay. Gameplay is debatably the most important aspect in games, but I think that for certain games such as Mass Effect, that story and character should be the main focus. Plus, these are Bioware's strengths, and what has gotten them in their current popularity. Focus on the writing and the story, and the games can be timeless. Mass Effect 2 and Knights of the Old Republic are great examples of this. So to sum up my answer, I hope they can recreate the magic of Mass Effect 1, but have it set in a new galaxy, and have Easter eggs in the game as callbacks to the original trilogy for the fans. Okay, so next up is a longer comment and question. So for the sake of a pleasant viewing experience, I'm going to sum up parts of this next question / comment, and only show part of the question. I won't do many questions of this length, but this comment and one by Christopher Wickling were well written, and had several good ideas that I want to share with all of you. So today's longer question is by Milkman McGee, who says Q&A. Do you think the Mass Effect series should tackle a different tone in the future? Like how the transition from Resident Evil 6 being an action game to a true survival horror like Resident Evil 7? It could still hold the same elements of a third-person RPG shooter, but I was thinking back to some of the failed concepts in the AMC Walking Dead game, and a really great game that came for free to the Xbox Marketplace, Oxenfree. After this part of the question, Milkman McGee talks about the story arcs the next Mass Effect could take, such as a crash ship on a dangerous and very hostile planet, set during a time closer to the First Contact War. In this scenario, the player would start off as a character that barely knows how to use a gun, and would have to consider survival elements such as sleep, hunger, and etc., as you try to survive the planet for the first part of the game. Some point later you would learn there are 12 other survivors from the crash, scattered around the planet that you'd have to try and find. This would be similar to Mass Effect 2, where every mission could be based around recruiting a different survivor, but the twist is that you would not have to save and or help them in any way. This would mean the game would have dozens, if not hundreds of ways the stories could go, and give the player a ton of replayability. At the end of the game, Milkman talks about how there could be multiple endings involving how the player and crew leave the planet, as well as incorporate series long-term consequences, based on who lived and how the player treated each survivor. I think this is a fantastic concept idea, Milkman, but not for a mainline Mass Effect game. I think it'd be an amazing, if not incredible, spin-off game. This would be something very new to Mass Effect, and while there are countless survival games out there already, none involve such a well-established franchise such as Mass Effect, and none would have as big a budget and backing as this game. I think if Bioware took Mass Effect down this road and advertised it properly, then it could be a very well-received spin-off series that I would pre-order in a heartbeat. Next up, we have a follow-up question to last week's highlight of discussing EA owning Bioware. Sorry on my pronunciation of this name. The Pulley Shynut says, "Your answer regarding Bioware being owned by EA was very insightful and balanced. Truly, the best answer to the question I've heard. However, I think with the rise of crowdsourcing and the ever-expanding number of FundMe sites, this could be a benefit for game developer companies. With that, I ask this. Could FundMe sites possibly allow for more control of gaming to go to the developers, and would this be a good thing?" To answer your question, I'm going to be honest up front, and say I do not know much about crowdfunding games, and how those usually turn out, as those kinds of experiences usually revolve around the PC games, and I'm mostly at the moment a console player. From what I have heard and read on crowdfunding games, is that it seems like it is often a hit or miss with them. Sometimes the games end up being made, and other times the project falls through. Of course, the main crowdfunding game I know of is Star Citizen. I know that game is supposed to be the sci-fi game of every gamer's dream, and has been in development since 2012. I also know it has a current crowdfunded budget of $159 million or so. But while this is incredible for a crowdfunded game, it seems like a game that may never actually come out. This game is still in alpha stages, and they always show off more and more concepts that are coming in the future. I think if that game ever receives a retail release, it'll be amazing. But the problem is that I don't know if that will ever happen. I hope it does. But right now, a lot of articles I've read on the game always talk about consumers wanting refunds, or ridiculously overpriced ships, or of course the constant delays. So to answer your question, I think Bioware could make some great products through crowdfunding and have complete control, but I don't think they should do that for quite some time right now. Okay, so now on to the two personal questions. So our first question comes from Genius474, who asks, personal Q&A, what would you like to see more in modern RPGs? Do you think the game genre has changed for better or for worse, or just different? Well, right now I think the RPG genre is in trouble, along with single-player games in general. To me, it seems like the current situation of the gaming environment is one in which multiplayer and microtransaction games are prioritized due to the ability to make a lot of money even after the initial purchase. While single-player games, the only money to be made is in the initial purchase and in DLC expansions. I think this is very worrisome, as it becomes increasingly rare for a good RPG game to be made and released. The only ones I know of in recent memory over the past couple of years is Breath of the Wild, the phenomenal Witcher 3, and the gorgeous Horizon Zero Dawn. I know there are several others as well, but it seems like the current ratio of single-player to multiplayer games is in the ballpark of 10 to 1. If you guys want me to, at some point in the future after I finish all my current projects, I can do a video that goes in depth into the change of the current gaming landscape. Okay, with that said, let's move into our last question. Our last question comes from Reese Morris, who says, Q&A, you said that after your exams, all the best with those by the way, you'll have a bit more time to make videos. Have you ever thought streaming when you have more time? Could stream Destiny 2 or any other games you're into at the moment. Would be pretty cool in my opinion anyway. Thanks for the good luck on the exams, Reese. And I also just want to use this moment to say thank you to a lot of you. So many of you were very understanding of my exams last week, and a lot of you all wished me luck on them. I think I did pretty well on them, but I also ended up having an average of around 4 hours of sleep a night. Now for the rest of your question about whether I would consider streaming, right now I don't know much about Twitch and how to set it up, but at some point in the future when I have a larger audience I would definitely consider streaming. Then I could interact with a lot of you all when I play a variety of games. Now it might not seem like it on this channel right now, but actually I play a huge variety of games. I think on my Xbox One alone I have somewhere around 200 games, and I usually alternate between 3 at a time. Right now I'm playing a lot of Destiny 2, Fallout 4, and Dying Light. Okay, well that ends this week's episode of Q&A. I hope you guys liked the video, and leave your questions in the comments below and title them Q&A for a chance for them to appear in next week's episode. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that like button. With that said, I'll see you guys on the next Shepard Gaming video. Keyless Aloy.